Greetings! We are happy to welcome you on the live broadcasts of the breaking news on ALLATRA TV. While the maximum fifth level of danger has been declared in Japan, the emergency was proclaimed in the US state of Mississippi. ALLATRA TV reporter will tell you more about these developments. From USA, Tina.
Can you hear us?
Hello, thank you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yours.
Thank you. Hello, this is ALLATRA TV reporter from USA. On July 1st, 2020, heavy rainfall caused flash floods in parts. An emergency situation was declared in connection with the flooding in the north side of the state. In some areas, from 120 to 250 millimeters, more than a monthly amount of rain fell in just a few hours. Eyewitnesses' photos show streets and cars flooded in the water. Tennessee also experienced flooding. As a result, several areas were submerged. On July 4, 2020, massive floods and high slides occurred in southwest Japan due to heavy rainfall in Kamotodo and Kamisha Prefect. The highest level was level 5 was declared. Over 200,000 people were called for evacuation. Unfortunately, there were dead and missing. There hasn't been such quantity of precipitation in this region yet. In some areas of Kumahitoto, more than a month's amount of rainfall has fallen per day. In the city of Imahusha, however, there was a record of rainfall of nearly 100 millimeters in just an hour, which is about 25% of monthly amount in July. In Kiwasha River rushed out of the banks and washed away the bridge. As a result, in 8 multi-capitals, about 2,000 families were cut off from aid in the outside world. The important roads were flooded and buildings were damaged. According to eyewitnesses, in some places, even the second floors were flooded due to the natural force. More than 10,000 houses were left without electricity and high-speed trains were suspended. Thank you. I give the floor back to the studio.
Thank you, Tina. Looking at what happened in Japan, our attention was drawn to the story of an eyewitness, in which he told how people acted in an emergency situation. A manager of a hotel in a flooded area of Kumamoto Prefecture told us that cars, vending machines, and everything was washed away with water. When the water made its way into the building, he told the guests to evacuate to the upper floors immediately. At the same time, the residents of a nearby low-rise flooded building also made their way to the roof to escape the flooding. Together, people stretched the rope from the third floor of the hotel to the submerged building and were able to evacuate the residents. After that, all together they began to wait for the help of the rescuers. Indeed, the forces of nature often come so suddenly that people have to act on their own, and it's good to see that there are such examples of mutual help. In early July, flash floods also occurred in European countries, and in Western Australia recorded more than 3,000 lightning strikes. Our reporter from Italy, Luca, will tell us more about it. Hello, Luca. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Hello. This is ALLATRA reporter from Italy. On July 4th, heavy storms with rain in Italy. In just a few minutes, the situation became critical in some municipalities, which caused fear among the locals. As a result of the raging natural disaster, water flooded the first floors of some homes, cellars and streets. Firefighters managed to free car drivers who were stuck in vehicles amid the flooded roads. Several people were also rescued at sea. In countryside, hailstones destroyed plantings of the growing crops. On July 5, 2020, powerful thunderstorms struck Western Australia. In the southwestern part of the state, over 313,000 lightning strikes were registered within just 12 hours. Such thunderstorms are more typical for Australian spring or summer. However, the continent is in the middle of winter now. The state was also hit by heavy downpours, with more than 15 millimeters of rainfall in some areas, which is almost 30% of the monthly norm in July. Meanwhile, on July 7th, a powerful storm accompanied by wind and downpours hit the city of Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. The wind was so strong that the roofs of the building were torn away, which resulted in one man being injured. The disaster also damaged some electric pylons, which led to power outages. Heavy rains caused flooding in the streets of the city. As a result, many cars were caught in water traps. Some subway underpasses and railway stations were flooded as well. The flooding of streets throughout the city was also caused by local rivers coming out of the city banks. Now I give the floor back to the
Thank you,
studio.
Luca. Thank you, and we continue. As disaster has affected the life of 1 million people in Brazil, in Puerto Rico, the local population has suffered from the lack of drinking water. ALLATRA TV reporter from Argentina will tell us what happened in those countries. Hello, Gaston. Can you hear us?
Thank you.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
very well. This is ALLATRA TV reporter from Argentina. On June 30, 2020, an extratropical bomb cyclone hit southern Brazil. As a result, people died and there is a missing person. All in all, the disaster affected the lives of about 1 million people. Rapidly developing storm with wind speed up to 120 km per hour tore down the roofs of the building, as well as cut off power lines. As a result, about 50 cities in Santa Catarina were left without electricity. And Rio Grande do Sul suffered the heaviest rainfall. Over 900 buildings were damaged. On July 1st, more than 1,000 residents were displaced from their homes. On June 30, 2020, a state of emergency was declared in Puerto Rico. Reservoirs that meet the needs of the population and agriculture have experienced significant declines in water levels. This is due to a lack of rainfall, which is below average in some parts of the country. The drought has increased rapidly since May this year, and as at the end of June, almost 60% of the country was in arid conditions. Water consumption restrictions have been imposed on the local population, leaving 140,000 people without easy access to water supply. Thanks, and I give the word back to the studio.
Thank you for your report, Gaston. In the next story, ALLATRA TV reporter from Qatar will talk about a natural disaster that continues to affect different continents. Let's watch this video together.
Hello, this is ALLATRA TV reporter Selim Hamadani from Qatar. The Southwest Asia. Some countries in Africa as well as Pakistan and India are on high alerts. In 5 Indian states, insects have destroyed the entire crop. In the border area of the country, a high alert regime has been declared and residents are being asked to close windows and cover plants. Trillions of insects stretch for thousands of miles and move from country to country. They pose a threat to the food and livelihood of the local people. The Locust also captured some parts of South America. As a result, Brazil declared a state of emergency in 2 southern states to allow residents to take measures in advance. Thank you. Shukran lakum. Salim Hamadani from Doha, Qatar.
Также нам прислали отзывы очевидца.
We've also received an eyewitness report from Moldova. Let's watch it together as well.
I live in the Tiraspol City, Republic of Moldova. On July the 4th, there were massive showers and hail. As a result, some areas were flooded, and in those areas where there was hail, residents reported that the whole harvest was destroyed and then washed away because of the heavy rainfall. Also, in June, there was a lot of water coming into the Dniester River, and it overflowed its banks, flooding the surrounding land and gardens. Homes were also flooded. I also want to note that this winter in Transnistria region saw very little precipitation. In fact, winter was very warm. It's very unusual compared to other years. That's why the soil didn't have time to get enough moist to allow winter crops to rise and people to get a harvest. Losses were up to 80% in some places. Some were about 60, some were about 30, but in general a huge amount of crops just didn't rise. Moreover, from at the end of spring, from May to July, there was also abundant rainfall. Heavy rains were immediately followed by very hot sun, heating and burning out what is left of the crops that people planted. And it can't help but affect the quality of life and the economy in general. I really wish that people would start to unite, and together we can do much more than we can do separately. Thank you.
In conditions of growing cataclysms, it is necessary to remember that the most important thing is the life of every person, no matter what geographic, social, or material situation we are in. It is important to be ready to help one another. Live examples show how valuable the help of people who happen to be nearby. Only by uniting, we will find the right solutions in any extreme conditions. Our strength is in unity and in cohesion. After all, society is all of us. On the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement, the Creative Society project is being implemented, which is based on 8 foundations that we tell about in every episode. Today, we will talk about the 5th foundation, self-governing society. The concept of power in the creative society is absent as such, since the responsibility for society as a whole, its development, living conditions and harmonious format lies with each human. Everyone has the right to participate in the management of the affairs of the creative society and in the adoption of laws that improve human life. The solution of socially important, socially significant and economic issues that affect the quality of human life is submitted for public discussion and voting. Referendum. The current climate situation and its likely outcome is voiced in the conversation with with the esteemed Igor Mikhailovich Danilov in the video Climate Change, the Beginning of a Big Disaster. Let's see an excerpt from this video.
Even at the World Economic Forum, which was held from January the 21st to the 24th this year, the climate was the main topic of discussion.
No, finally, thank God.
I mean, it has already got ahead of violence, worse, and came to the fore.
I just wonder, what has won here, good sense or the fact that has already come? It's just that why people don't hear when you tell them? Why do they not do what needs to be done? Yet imagine if at least 5 years ago, or at least 4 years ago, they would have already started doing something. Because we are now standing on, let's say, on the verge of a huge economic crisis that will make a lot of people just beggars, that will ruin entire countries. And all this will happen due to what? Due to those very climatic changes. And this is inevitable. What's next? And then there will already be a forced migration of embittered, hungry people who are well armed and sometimes are well organized. What will happen to our world? And doesn't anyone really have a desire to solve this in a peaceful way? The question is being asked for a reason, because everyone will get into this slaughter. Well, someone thinks that no, it will reach them. It will reach everyone. And eventually, if there is such an uncivilized vector of development, then, excuse me, the climate will develop accordingly in an uncivilized way, and no bunker will save anyone.